Welcome to part 2 of my conversation with Steve Green, Director Revenue Generation at Carlson Residor Hotels. In the conclusion of my conversation with Steve, he and I will be talking about providing consumers more choice, the relationship between price and value, and his experiences with special events pricing and the upcoming Super Bowl. Enjoy the discussion. Steve and I also had a great conversation about offering guests more choice when booking a hotel. Guests want more personalization, which means hotels need to be able to offer guests better approaches to pay for what they value most.
It's so funny because when you think of like how I book travel or what I'm looking for, I'm like, I want to go on vacation.
Yeah.
I don't really care where I go.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to use miles to get there, whatever it is. But like, I want to get a different experience, right? And this is what I want. And maybe it's like that killer view, or it's the, highly dense population.
Certain experience.
Right.
Yeah.
And even when like some of the OTAs try, it's still very forced. It seems like it's contrived too much.
Well, it should move you down a funnel, right?
Yeah.
It's like you have
I made the point to Steve that currently Hotel Search follows a very predictable pattern. Pick your location, pick your date, pick your hotel. In the not too distant future, you will be able to search differently. For example, show me the lowest price suite on a beach in Thailand for 2 nights. Or show me the best dates to get the lowest prices for a room with an Eiffel Tower view in Paris. Which led Steve and I into a completely different direction. Reference pricing and how to use value to increase pricing power.
And like his lowest price, is it relative or compared to its rolling 90-day average price? So like it's the greatest discount, right? So because it's funny, we were talking about reference pricing the other day. Buddy of mine wants to buy an old school pinball machine.
Right.
He's like, this is one I grew up on, right? I can afford a nice one. And he said, you can find them on eBay from like anywhere from like $7,000 to like 16,000. And so I'm like open up on eBay and I look for the pinball machine. I'm like, yeah, there was like 6,500, 7,200, 7,000, and then there was one for 16,000. And he's like, who's selling that? I'm like, the same guy who's selling the one for $7,200. It's the same exact pinball machine because he creates reference, right? Like that's what I would do. Is that I'd say because at the worst case scenario, if someone's like, well, $7,200, that's a heck of a lot cheaper than 16,000.
Yeah.
Right. But maybe somebody is going to pay 16,000 for it, right? Because higher. If it's expensive, it's got to be better quality. I'm like, I guarantee it's the same guy. You look through pictures, they're the same angles and everything, like same basement. But it's funny because referencing is interesting.
Steve went on to tell me how while working for a multi-billion-dollar B2B company, he identified an opportunity to create a better perception of benefits and value for his clients by bundling products and services together. He increased prices significantly for a low-cost item. The result?
So I had zero change in the quantity sold when I made the price changes. And my sales
profitability
6-7 times,
right? No, absolutely.
and they were extremely profitable.
Yeah.
But it's like it's value. The value is different to them because I'm able to show them a value now because I forced myself to show them a value because it's more expensive than it was before.
Yeah.
So like the reference is different now.
Yeah.
But if I can go ahead and show them that there is value in it, great. But if you show that it's, if it's 95 cents, like, well, if it's on 95 cents, what's it worth?
Yeah.
Right?
You don't even think twice, right?
Right. So
Steve has a great point. Value in the eyes of the consumer is a function of price and perceived benefit. If you just increase the price without also increasing the perceived benefits, then you will have a problem. Increase both equally, however, and your price increases will often result in surprisingly low price sensitivity. Of course, if you have an amazing revenue management system to provide you the analytics and insights, it makes the whole process even easier. Finally, because this was recorded in Minneapolis and in a few weeks the city is hosting the 52nd American Football Championship game called Super Bowl, Steve and I talked about special event revenue management and pricing, something that is always high on the agenda with hotels around the world, and clearly another passionate subject for Steve.
It's funny. Drives me nuts. I've got a hotel right by US Bank Stadium, right?
Right here in Minneapolis, yeah.
Yeah, and when Vikings are playing, we do really well, right? Makes sense. If they're playing the right team.
All right.
So if the Vikings are playing Dallas, well, Dallas fans travel.
Right.
And they pay.
Right.
We do really well. But if we play, if whoever was playing Cleveland Browns that week, well, nobody's coming from Cleveland.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Okay.
So you wonder, can STR, can STR say, hey, these are the best sports teams that travel.
That drive
right?
demand.
They would absolutely be able to quantify that.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, and
There must be a correlation between the team across
Absolutely.
the US and the amount of demand they generate.
right, and where they are, and there's probably something you probably can do some regressions to say, are they having a good season or a bad season?
Yeah.
Right? Is it good weather or decent weather or horrible weather? Right? I mean, you look at Packer fans. Well, it doesn't matter what it is; they're going to go wherever they need to go. Right?
Yeah. I mean, in a different life.
There absolutely is a correlation between demand and the team pairing. I shared with Steve that about 10 years ago, Ideas actually did some consulting work on stadium and events pricing for a sports team. There are also other factors that play a role, including weather and standing of the team in the overall ranking, all of which allowed the team with it they work for to fine-tune their season ticket pricing and in the end generate more revenues.
Yeah. So how are your hotels preparing for the Super Bowl?
My last question to Steve was the most important one, and of course he had some interesting perspectives to share.
Super Bowls, it's funny because we have had a couple of hotels of mine that have been some Phoenix properties, and one out in Sunnyvale, California, which is right by Levi Stadium where the Super Bowl was last year, or 2 years ago. They're doing fine, and the reason in some ways, so it's all length of stay. Right, because the Super Bowl blocks are taking the 3 nights, right? They're Friday, Saturday, Sundays, and those were committed years ago at a very low rate.
Right.
I've got a hotel, the Radisson Red,
Yeah.
right by the
By the
stadium.
stadium, right.
That wasn't even a thought when
Yeah.
they were doing blocks for the Super Bowl.
Right.
So we don't have to follow the rules. We're just outside of the block. So we have a 4-night pattern at that hotel at a rate that is basically double
Wow.
everything else in the market.
Right.
And we know it, and it's a full hotel buyout.
Yeah.
It's fine, or not.
Yeah.
It's a few different groups.
So your
but
recommendation is start building a hotel after all the blocks are
after all the blocks, but make sure you're open before. There's a hotel in our market at the airport that will open in March or April. Like,
Right. Right.
Horrible. But then from there, it's funny because the data, Expedia has phenomenal data, and they understand that lead time. And I remember when we were working at our hotel in Sunnyvale, California, preparing for the Super Bowl.
Right.
So they had the Super Bowl experience, the fan experience, was downtown.
Yeah.
The stadium is 45 minutes away, right? And we're right by the stadium, a couple miles. We didn't have many blocks, just a little bit here, nothing much.
Yeah.
So we're relying on transient to drive it, right? And well, we got to look at the channels and where everybody's shopping, so we had to make sure we were playing right. And there's demand for longer length of stay further out, right? There is some really high demand for high rates as you get close inside the 2 weeks,
Right.
but they're short length of stays.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to be careful. Like I could get $1,000 room for a 1 night on Saturday, but
Yeah.
I'd rather have $400 for 3 nights, right? Well, how you're able to do this is really, it's just constant management, right? So it's it's the day 2 weeks out when the NFC Championship and AFC Championship games are playing.
Right.
And as they're playing, you literally can watch the demand pop.
Oh,
and if I can see where the geo where they were coming from,
Right.
like New England's winning, right?
Yeah.
Well, if they're winning, all of a sudden, all the stuff's coming from the East Coast, right? And they're all booking, and it's literally you can watch it, and as soon as that game ends, or it's declared a winner, basically, whoosh, and it just blows up, and you have to get that then, right?
Right.
And then if the AFC's in the morning or early, and the NFC's in the afternoon, then the same thing happens again.
Right.
And I remember having discussions with my revenue manager. I bet you we had 15 calls on that Sunday.
Yeah.
We killed it. And we're just on top of it.
Yeah.
It was really
Yeah.
easy to do.
It's not difficult to do, right? I mean, you're
No.
sitting in front of a TV watching the game,
Right.
and you're like looking at your revenue management system.
Right. Can I get rate or can I get length of stay? I want length of stay first, but if I can get some rate, let's go ahead and see what we can do.
Yeah.
And our GI those days, unreal.
Yeah.
The owners of that hotel, who have multiple hotels in that market, said, "I don't know how you guys did it."
Right.
Right,
Watch
everyone
TV.
Right, I know.
It's not rocket
Yeah,
science.
exactly. Well, and it's everyone's. Well, I'm going to charge $700 for I'll put a 4-night minimum on every night.
Yeah.
Okay, great. That's fine to do 8 months out, but when it comes time to booking, where is their demand? What are people willing to pay for, and where is for patterns and pricing?
Yeah.
You have to be ready for it.
You have to be prepared for it. If there is one advice everyone should take away from this conversation, it is this. Set your strategies in time, watch your demand carefully, and be ready to act and adjust when the bookings start coming in. Steve and I could have chatted all day. He's a perfect example of someone who not just looks for revenue opportunities, but actively creates them for his hotels. He's a great example of someone who practices unconstrained thinking every day.
Having discussions.